Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to make a pinch pot. I've already got one of my balls made of clay. This is low fire clay, white. I went ahead and made it round. I'm going to show you how we make this one round. I like to cut my hands like this, and I sort of pat and turn. It's not just like a baby pat. It's like enough to get the high spots low. Okay, so I'm going to pat and turn and pat and turn. And then I'm going to take a look at it and pat and turn and pat and turn. The idea is to get it into a nice round ball. I have my hand cupped like this. I squeeze it a little bit to pick it up and turn it. And pat and squeeze and turn. Okay, so we're going to get most of the high spots and just get it into a pretty good ball shape. This one isn't perfect, but it's also not bad. Maybe we need to get that. The next step is I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to push it down. We're going to hold our thumb sort of like this. My thumb will switch out like this. We're trying to keep it nice and straight. And I'm going to have this in the palm of my hand. And when I feel the pressure in the palm of my hand, I've probably gone deep enough, and then we'll take a look. All right, so I'm going to push my thumb straight into the middle, and I can start to feel the pressure. Mine is about that deep on a ball about this, so we have about a finger width at the bottom of extra thickness. Now I would actually leave it on my thumb here, and I'm gonna give a squeeze with my fingers. I don't know why, but I never use my pinky. And even though it looks like I'm sort of squeezing like this, I'm really trying to make sure that my hand is doing this, like we're making shadow puppets of a dog, nice and flat, and we're gonna squeeze with our fingers together, tight together. You don't want them loose like this, okay? So got it in here. I'm gonna come almost all the way up to the very center of my ball here. Here's my ball, there's the center, here's my fingers. And I'm gonna give a squeeze so that you can see my fingerprints. You see my fingerprints? Now I'm gonna rotate one finger and do that again. And I'm gonna go all the way around my little ball of clay until I get back to the beginning. Okay, so now I'm back to the beginning. It sort of looks like more triangular now, and I still have maybe at least a half an inch of thickness right up here. I'm going to move my finger down about one finger width here, so my fingers are now here, and I'm going to do the same thing all the way around. Squeeze and turn and squeeze and turn and squeeze and turn, and all the way around with my fingers overlapping. Right now I have something that's fairly thick. Here's my finger for some reference. It's about the thickness of my finger. I'm going to go back and do one more right here at the rim, being cautious not to make it thinner than the rest. Okay, so we squeeze and turn and squeeze and turn, and we rotate about a finger so we don't miss anything. All right, so now I have something that looks like this. It's a little hard to see inside. It's all the way down to the bottom. All right, I'm going to go all the way back up to the top, and I'm going to do that once again because I want to get it a little thinner. I recommend for students to close their eyes at this moment so that you sort of block everything else out, and then that way you really can focus on how thick the wall of your pinch pot is. All right, now I'm going and spiraling from here all the way down to here so it's a nice even. I want my walls to be even, whatever thickness I make them, and fairly smooth. All right, so it's not super smooth, but I have time. So at this point, my thumb is getting too short to go all the way in, so I can turn it like this and cup it in my hand, and I can use 2 or 3 fingers or even my thumb on the inside, and I kind of like to smooth and press. Let's see if we can make it so you can see inside. Let me get my light. All right, so now you can see inside a little bit better. So I'm just going to take my finger and I'm going to press and smooth up. It's a soft drag to the edge. Okay. Make sure I go all the way around. And now you could call this a pinch pot. Okay? I use my fingers to pinch it out. This one's still a little thick on the bottom down here, and it's still a little thick, I would normally go like one more squeeze later. For beginners, sometimes having it this thickness is helpful because it adds extra structure. All right, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to make the other pinch pot bowl the same way, and I'm going to show you how to join these guys together. Okay, I've got both my pinch pots made. I have 2 of them. When I first started, I started with balls that were very similar in size of my clay, and we're going to connect them like this so that then I can use an egg shape to create whatever kind of character, creature, head, whatever I want. Something that would be 3-dimensional other than just like a cup to drink out of. So the way that we do that step is I like to use this serrated metal rib. You can use a fork or whatever you have that you would use to scratch this up. I just find this really fast. So I'm going to scratch up the lip. I like to get it nice and rough. I'm going to do the same on this one. All right, and then I have slip here and a nice little squeeze bottle. This is a soft-sided one, which makes it really easy. I think it's a number 2. I ordered a whole bunch of these off of the internet somewhere, and I really like them. So I can just squeeze out my slip straight onto my edge here. Having a little bit too much is better than a little too little, because this way it fills in all the nooks and crannies and makes sure that we don't have any holes or gaps. That looks pretty good. It's not the neatest. You can push it to where you want it to be if it's not exactly where you want. But we're not going to rub it in. We're not rubbing it in, okay? It's not suntan lotion. It's like peanut butter or mayo. Now I'm going to take the other one, and we're going to make sure that they fit. So I'm going to carefully get them close where I think that they should go, and I'm going to rotate them and make sure that everything is right where I want it to be. And then I can hold each side and give gentle pressure like so. And if it doesn't have an air leak, then you can actually apply quite a bit of pressure to make sure that everything's where you want it. Okay. And usually at this point I've made a nest of some sort. I haven't made my nest, so I'm going to sit this down for a sec. I'll show you what I do. I like to have a soft cloth. Microfiber's okay. I really like a t-shirt style better, but this is what I have right here. So I'm going to fold it like I'm folding a bandana, and I'm going to roll it up, and then I wrap it around my hand, and I'm going to act like I'm going to tie a knot like this. And then I can change whatever size I want it to be by tightening that depending on what size my egg is going to be. And I just tuck these extra pieces in like so, and then that way now I have a place for it to sit so that it will not end up with a flat bottom. The next step I like to do is I like to get this extra slip off. I'm probably going to put some more back on, but I like to get some of the extra off, and I like to stick it right back in my slip bottle so that I don't waste anything. So with my finger, I'm just going to use it like a spatula and get it back in there. All right, I'm going to give it another squeeze, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be, everything's sealed, there's no air holes, and everything's even. So I spin and move and make sure I got everything where I want it to be. And then I'm going to take this tool again, the serrated rib, metal rib, and I'm going to score up this edge because I'm going to put a little coil around it to reinforce my seam so that it's really strong. All right, and I'm going to show you how to roll out a coil real quick. I have a little extra ball of clay here. I won't need this whole thing, so I like to get it sort of in cigar shape first and pinch some off. And now I'm going to use this part of the palm of my hand to roll it. You want to make sure you go all the way around with even pressure, otherwise you'll end up with a flat, not round coil. It'll be sort of flat. So I'm going to use my hand, and I know I'm not going to need that much, so oftentimes I just split off what I don't need. All right, so about that thick. Here's it against my finger, so you can see the thickness. All right, I'm actually going to spray my little thing here, and sometimes I recommend for students who have a very rough opening here to put a little slip. I'm going to get just a little bit of slip in there, if it'll come out. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to spread it on sort of like butter. Oop, all the way around. It's coming apart. It's too wet. All right, now I'm going to put my coil over that seam. I'm going to press it in as I go around. All right, and it is, and my hands are really wet. So I can just use another rag and I can sort of get some of that off so it doesn't stay wet. And then I like to take a wooden rib like this, and I go around and I pat down the seam. If it's too wet, it'll stick, which it's sort of doing now. So I'm going to pause and get it just a tiny bit drier. Okay, I have used my hair dryer to get it a little bit drier. It's not sticky anymore. If you have the ability to do that, that can be a real time saver, so you can get the whole egg built easily within a 85, 90-minute class, even with a group of 24 if you've already got your clay portioned out. So I'm going to use this little paddle, and I'm going to paddle that down so it's really in there, secure. And then this is usually how far we would get during one 85-minute class period. Not everybody's is going to work out like this, and they may need to do a second one the next day, or they might need assistance getting it to this point. If you had to stop in the middle, stopping after you have your two halves is good, but they should be stored rim down so that they don't end up with a flat spot. And then I can use either a metal rib or a rubber rib or some kind of wooden tool to get my seam smoothed out. You can see that some of that is still wet underneath there, so I'm actually going to stop here. Once I have my egg shape, I'll get it smoothed out, and then I can start adding things onto it and turning it into whatever I want it to be, a creature, a person, just a fancy egg-looking thing, and we can even do it where it has a lid and it comes off and you can put things in it.